Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Hey, we are going to talk about a crazy, and I mean crazy, self-defense bill kicking around in the state legislature, which, if enacted into law, would forever and significantly change the citizens in that state's rights and ability to defend their lives and that of their loved ones. It is so crazy that it could only come from one state. That's right. The king of crazies, California. But this one's a doozy, and everyone in California needs to be aware of it. So today, let's spend a few minutes and let's talk about the state that wants to ban self-defense. Okay, hey, before we get going too far down the road we're going down, proud to announce that this video is being brought to us by Right to Bear and Washington Gun Law, which, as you know, California, we got a big old road trip coming up down there, March 17th through the 21st. Listen, here's all the locations we're going to be at and when we're going to be there, and all the registration links are down there in the description box. That's right, we're going to be cruising down, going north to south there in California, March 17th through 21st. Love to see you come on by for one of our programs. For more information, check out all the information in the description box. And thanks again to the good folks at Right to Bear for sponsoring this. Okay, California, we're going to talk about Assembly Bill 1333, an absolute horrible piece of legislation, which, if enacted into law, would significantly and forever change California Penal Code Section 197. What is California Penal Code Section 197? That is where you find lawful authority to use lethal force in defense of yourself or others. However, this bill, if enacted into law, will significantly, I do mean significantly, limit the ability to use lethal force in self-defense. And candidly, it's going to place you in great danger. Now, to understand what the law currently looks like and what the law is going to possibly look like, we're going to use these competing slides here because I want you to see it for yourself. Seeing is believing. You need to understand how they are going to make your life considerably more dangerous with this legislation. Now, Section 197 starts off with, homicide is also justifiable when committed by any person in all of the following cases. Okay, the current law reads, when resisting any attempt to murder any person or to commit a felony or to do some great bodily injury upon any person. Okay, so if you are an imminent threat of death or serious bodily injury, or you have a felony being committed upon your person, you can theoretically use lethal force in self-defense. But the amended law would read, when resisting any attempt to murder any person or to do some great bodily injury upon any person. So we are removing to have a felony committed against your person, which theoretically puts prosecutors in positions where they can argue, at least with a straight face, that you being robbed, that you being carjacked, that you being sexually assaulted didn't necessarily rise to the level in which you could use lethal force. Now, there's other reasons that you could use lethal force. The current law, Section 197, reads, 2, when committed in defense of habitation, property, or person against who manifestly intends or endeavors by violence or surprise to commit a felony, or against one who manifestly intends and endeavors in a violent, riotous, or tumultuous manner to enter the habitation of another for purposes of offering violence to any person therein. Which is just a bunch of lawyers coming up with a way wordier way of saying, hey, if they break into your home while you're there, you can use lethal force. But check this out, California, because if this bill becomes law, that section will now read, when committed in defense of a person against one who manifestly intends or endeavors in a violent, riotous, or tumultuous manner to enter the habitation of another for the purpose of offering violence to any person therein. So as you can see, they are significantly limiting when you could use lethal force against a home intruder. It gets worse. Okay, there's a third way that you can do it, and I will tell you that what the state legislature has done in this case is take an incredible, disgusting word salad and actually simplified it. In this particular section, I don't think they're actually limiting the rights that you had under the current version of Section 197. But then I want you to understand that there is a fourth way, which reads, when necessarily committed in attempting by lawful ways and means to apprehend any person for any felony committed, or in lawfully suppressing any riot, or in lawfully keeping and preserving the peace. That would be absolutely eliminated by Assembly Bill 1333. Okay, so what we have already done is significantly limited the instances in which a California resident can use lethal force in self-defense. But then Assembly Bill decides to go on and list a few more instances and specifically state this would be, in fact, illegal. Because the bill also states homicide is not justifiable when committed by a person in all of the following cases. Now, you're going to see most of these are actually consistent with common law self-defense laws. But there is one that is a big problem here, okay? Because all the instances in which this activity would be deemed illegal read, 1, when the person was outside of their residence and knew that using force likely to cause death or great bodily injury could have been avoided with complete safety by retreating. There it is, California. They are putting a duty to retreat on you, okay? I want you to understand, if you're out in public and you're encountered with violence, you cannot use lethal force if this becomes law until you have exhausted all methods of retreat. That's what the law will read. Now, the other instances in which homicide would not be justifiable include 2, when the person used more force than was reasonably necessary to defend against a danger. That is the proportional argument. Anytime we're trying to break down self-defense, right? It's got to be necessary. It's got to be reasonable. It's got to be proportional. If we're using disproportional force, we're going to have criminal liability. 3, when the person was the assailant, engaged in mutual combat, or knowingly engaged in conduct reasonably likely to provoke a person to commit a felony or do some great bodily injury, except if either of the following circumstances apply. This really is just the first aggressor standard here, okay? So essentially, if you're the one that provokes the fight, you can't later claim self-defense. There are some exceptions involving you withdrawing from combat in such a way that lets the whole world know you're withdrawing, and then if conflict continues after you may be able to avert to self-defense at that point. But the big one is that first one, California, because they are absolutely, positively, and without a doubt creating a duty to retreat. So California, for all the crazy bills you've come up with, all the ways that they want to make your life more dangerous, this one is perhaps one of the most offensive. They are literally taking away from you the ability to defend yourself lawfully. They are watering down the instances in which you can use lethal force, and worse yet, they are now establishing an absolute duty to retreat when you are in a public location. Okay, listen, we're going to go ahead and link up Assembly Bill 1333 down in the description box so you can geek out on it for yourself. We're going to give a big shout out to our first ever California subscriber. Of course, that's Philip P. He's been spreading the gospel of Washington gun law since I had a hairdo like this. If you got any questions about this or anything else related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights, you guys should know how to get a hold of Washington gun law by now. But if you don't, that's okay. That information down there in the description box. If you got an idea for a video we should be doing around here, you click on that link right there and tell us all about it. If you want to subscribe to our monthly newsletter, the ability to do all of that is down there in the description box. And then finally, and most importantly, let's remember that part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching and stay safe.